to remind you, Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern, the ACC Huddle crew will get you ready for the day at Gerald Ford Stadium on the campus of SMU. A 60-minute pregame show leading into Stanford NC State at noon. Then they come back at 6:30, wrapping up the afternoon with highlights and analysis. And they'll preview Pitt SMU at 8 after the game. Stay right here on ACCN for a full postgame show to wrap up the night. Coach Lashley, Coach Narduzzi. Kevin Jennings has changed the complexion of SMU's season. A thrilling win over Duke in overtime.
Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to the Cobb Stadium in Coral Gables, Florida, home of the Miami Hurricanes, taking on the
big victory over Florida State this past weekend.
Cristobal
still undefeated, firmly
the Florida State Seminoles. So, our jerseys is black, and Florida State is white, actually. And we are under like 13 minutes to go.
Into the space for Grambo, 1v1.
But we don't know exactly what our record is.
Stops on a dime, cross, headed down and out. Here's Dudley. On the turn, she can fly. Dudley into space. Watch her go. Jordan Dudley, the freshman. She's got Hudson on her right. Dudley solo.
What a play! What a play! What a block!
Very careful, but that was great. The ball's out of bounds. They've got to find their shape again. But you can see just the pace of Dudley. We all know what she can do in transition. She can do a lot on her own. She takes the pressure right here, spins around McCartney, able to take space. And there's just a moment where Salas does really well. You have to think delay, 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 and then step in and time your tackle. That's what she does in that moment. But not only that, there's the second player that picks up that next ball. That's what Miami's doing well. It's the initial defending, yes, but the second person to come in and join the defending effort.
Allie Salas doing so well there. The commitment to the ball, by the way, by the Canes. Florida State continues to ask questions. Through ball was intended for Huff. Hudson in the area, 2, but Foley picks it up. Under 11. Now to play in this first half. Miami has made it difficult on Florida State to find space. They've asked a couple of questions of their own in the attack. Now into Florida State's half. Canali lost it, cleared away. Gilchrist intending for the big target at 6'2", Rihanna Hudson. How about Dudley playing a little bit deeper? Well into the midfield.
But I like the idea from Dudley because she draws so much attention. So her dropping into that midfield space and being able to turn and spray the wide areas in their 3-5-2 system as players from Miami are marking. So they're being drawn into all different sorts of the field that they're not normally going to be in if you have just a 3-back or a 4-back that stays in a line. I like that. I think if she gets on the turn and can spray EY or Suarez in those wide spaces, I think that could be very effective for Florida State.
20 career goals for Dudley, but also 15 assists. She's done a nice job of finding her teammates when the attention is drawn towards her. Milton, Georgia native, the sophomore.
And what can really help that too, Aria, is for Florida State, is have movement when Jordan Dudley gets the ball. If that happens, a defender reacts sometimes, and then that just gives Jordan Dudley an extra half yard of space to be able to beat the pressure herself. So it's all that extra movement as well, and doing it all at the same time, which is easier said than done.
No doubt, yes. You almost wonder if her and Taylor Huff can link up in the midfield to create something for Florida State through the middle.
Exactly. I think you're right with Taylor Huff coming from underneath a little bit more, her movement off. She'll draw just as much attention as Jordan Dudley in her own right. So that counter movement off of each other causes the defender to react, even if their assignment is to stay close to a certain player.
The Canes smart in their tactics. They've compacted the field on Florida State. They've pressed them in different spots. Foley, smart, dribbles it back into her box, picks it up. Ryan Pensky called Rihanna Hudson Jekyll and Hyde. Said sometimes she's a little too nice on the field, but over the last month or so, we found her her mean streak, so to speak. We want her to be the nicest person off the field, which she is. And then on the field, ruthless. 6 goals now in her rookie campaign. Foul going the other way. And Miami on a set piece. This could be an area that the Noles have been exploited on. They've given up 5 set piece goals over their last 6 contests.
And this is rare to see with Foley coming forward, but we knew this was going to happen. She's done it all year. She's got a great service. So as a goalkeeper coming all the way up.
Plays it short instead. Miami creates an angle. That ball to Todd.
And I think on both of the last set pieces, the last corner kick plus that one, the service has just really let Miami down. They're going to want to be able to focus in on that. One of the things they do really well in the run of play is their early service to put teams under pressure in their goal. But Addie Todd had no problem with that one, and the same thing on the last 2 set pieces. So if that's going to be part of your attack, that has to be a little bit more concentrated, and the execution has to be better.
Without a doubt, Casey, especially for a Miami team that may not have a ton of opportunities to work with. Nice ball from Dudley. Canes back line, though, again, up to the task. Still Florida State. They've dominated the possession here in the first half. Huff rolls the ball forward. She'll carry Miami. Gives her some space to operate. Beckman, senior, transfer from Texas A&M. Has been one of Florida State's vocal leaders, according to Brian Penske. Playing that 6th position in that holding mid spot. Tough to replace a player like Leilani Nesbitt that the Noles did from 1 season ago. But Beckman has bridged that gap here her final year.
And Brian Penske talked about her just being a destroyer and an animal in midfield, being able to win the ball back, but also just so good in possession, her tempo on the ball. And Miami's really trying to stay in front of her and take her out of possession as the ball circulates. But she's a player that's really critical to this attack as they build through the thirds.
Simmons playing in the back line now. Former striker at Tennessee. This is good from Florida State. Wide to Dudley. Tries to keep it in and does. Right on that end line, into the width. And Florida State will re-diagnose and resurvey the field now. Falling is that Huff, who got clipped. Fouled cold, to much to the chagrin of Grace Huron.
And right on cue, it's Beckman that's starting this attack with a little give and go, finds Dudley in the space. Good composure right here for Dudley, just to keep it in the final third. I like this patience to recycle. All of this is important for Florida State because it makes Miami chase. They find the feet of Taylor Huff. That's who you want on the ball. She's shifty, and she draws the foul.
A couple yards ahead of that U painted on the fields. This is Taylor
I don't know what to say.
Top 15 in the country in points and goals. One of the best players in the ACC. Crossing it towards the back of the box.
Missed.
From Miami's head.
And again, that's Crosby Nicholson right there, and she's so good in the air. She's so calm, composed, and does a really good job of winning balls. She drops off right when the service happens, goes right up. She has the frame to do it, but also the timing. And that's what you want. You want her flicking this away and out of pressure.
Yes,
I love that she
know.
drops that 4 or 5 yards right on the service and knows that I'm not going to head that back where it came from. I'm going to get it into an area that's not dangerous, and that's exactly what she does.
Number 3, Taylor Huff.
Palm Harbor native. Knowles will substitute again here at the half. Right before the half, I should say, late in the first half. Camille Ashton.
Why didn't you know this?
Olivia Lebdowie in as well.
Negative.
Huff and Dudley will take a breather right before the break. Still 4 minutes to play in this opening stanza. Casey, thoughts so far?
Well, I think if you're Miami, these 4 minutes are the most important 4 minutes, in my opinion, because you've done a lot of really good things.
Hudson trying to get the ball down. She's got the net.
Who scores? Florida State. Wow.
Hudson has the opener for the Noles here in South Florida.
Wow.
And that's exactly, Aria, why I said that,
Wow.
because there's been so much good work from Miami. They've been great defensively, and you want to get into halftime feeling that. And just in a moment, off the throw-in, just a hopeful ball flicked over the top twice, and then it's Hudson, just gets this on frame, it takes a deflection, and that's sometimes what it takes for a good team. They have to just figure out, how do we get this in the net? I like this from Hudson, because she hits it as it's coming down. When you have a defender on your outside shoulder coming across inside to defend you, good things happen for the attacking team, and that's what happens there for Florida State.
Brianna Hudson was the Rochester Citizen of the Year in her hometown. Nothing nice there about Hudson except for the goal. Haunting that Miami defense here on this Halloween night. Florida State finds the first goal of the evening, and that changes how Miami's got to play now.
It does, and I don't expect a huge change in this final 3.5 minutes necessarily, because you don't want to open up even more space for Florida State to potentially extend their lead. But I think as you go into halftime now, if you're the Hurricanes, you got to figure out, okay, do we continue this way and see if we get a counterattacking transition opportunity, or do we come out maybe in a different system with a little bit higher of a press and see if we can get one back early and then go back to the way they were defending in this first half, because it was incredibly effective, Arya.
Yeah, the Canes have played with a lot of spirit here in this one. How about this, straight from Florida State, Casey? 50 games in a row with a goal date that spans over 3 seasons.
It's unbelievable. It really is an amazing stat. And it's something we were talking about a little bit earlier, that teams that have been in this type of position that are used to scoring goals, they just have to continue on the course. They have to say, okay, here's our principles, here's how we play, keep going, and manage the frustration. And a team that scores in that many consecutive games certainly knows how to do that and still end up finding production.
Casey, asking around the league for head coaches and their thoughts on Florida State, just anonymously, some coaches believe this Florida State team is every bit or more talented than the one that won the national title 1 season ago. Brian Penske himself said, this is the most athletic Florida State team I've ever had. And in my 3 seasons, the depth, we've never had this level.
Well, one of the things that Brian Penske talked about, to your point, was that athleticism piece with Van Zanten in the back line and Cameron Simmons. Their ability to commit numbers forward but still be able to transition to defense is something that they can do extremely well, and that's why this 3-5-2 system is really fitting their personality.
Miami. 1 minute and 40 seconds now. A bit of possession, but dispossessed. Ash couldn't get a foot on it. It does fall to the feet of Puerta. The freshman from San Diego tries to switch the point of attack, and does. Suarez. A lot of youth on the pitch for FSU at the moment. Puerta. Suarez, 1v1 now. She earned the corner. Yes, she does. 1 minute to play.
We're under, actually we have 1 minute left to play. We're under a minute to go.
Goal and provide that much separation for Florida State. So make sure you're organized in your zonal and your marking, everything right here. And Foley's definitely doing that to make sure that nothing simple comes on frame.
4 assists on the year for Puerta. Gold jerseys flood the Miami box. Towards that back post, pretty good ball. Down, cleared out, whistle. Foul call.
And Heather Gilchrist is the one that goes up, and you'll just see in a 1v1 matchup right here, there's just a little bit of a push right at the last minute to be able to separate. So that ball's played in, a little push in the back, nothing too much in it, but it does give her that half yard of space to get something on the ball.
10, 9, 8.
And that will do it for the first half.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
There's the half. Florida State won thanks to Brianna Hudson's
Now,
It's Florida State
now it's halftime.
1, Miami 0.
Florida State, that number on your screen, 161 wins when leading at the half since 2010. Brian Penske joining us. Brian, Aria, and Casey here on the mic with you. Hudson finds you a goal there in the first half, right at the end.
We going?
Brian, can you hear us okay?
Coleman.
Can you hear us okay, Brian? Thoughts on that first half? Rihanna Hudson getting you the goal right at the end.
Can't hear you.
I couldn't get Coach
Can't hear
Penske
you.
there, so we'll go to break. 1-0, Florida State leads
I can't
Miami,
hear you.
halftime from Coral Gables.
Now, let's take a breather. Now it's halftime.